Hi, I'm Kyle, and this is Hi Kyle. And today's topic is aliens. The craziest thing about aliens is if all the thousands of stories, pictures, and videos, or any other kind of evidence were false, and just one encounter were true, that would prove aliens exist and would change the entire dynamic of life on Earth. You know what's funny about UFOs? They have lights. So like some alien had to put in those lights. So there's like alien electricians. I think that's so funny. Anyway, stories have been told of bright white light shooting out of the bottom of a saucer. UFOs have been known to abduct. Now the beam of light that comes from a UFO is a tractor beam. It has the ability to move objects. I'd like to talk about flight for a second. The way a wing lifts is there's less air pressure above the wing. The shape of the wing plus the speed creates lift. It's literally less air particles above the wing, and the wing falls into the void due to the natural atmospheric pressure from below the wing. Now, tractor beams work in a similar but different way. So you project a beam, sound waves would work, but it's more effective just to use electricity tuned to a specific frequency. And the beams come out in waves, peaks, valleys. The valleys create a deficit, which the object will fall into. Now, this is the simple way this feature works. The more advanced form is actually how interstellar travel is solved. By using the beam to also scan, you can project into the space in front of you, scan for all matter, compress the space between, and carry on. This relies on the fundamental understanding that the universe is a hologram, and as long as information is preserved, you can manipulate it as you'd like. But that's not the coolest feature of a UFO. The single coolest thing about a UFO is how it flies. The ship itself emits an electromagnetic wave that can interact with the gravity waves emitted from the objects nearby. You know everything emits gravity waves? Not just the big stuff like the Earth, but you emit gravity waves. Everything emits gravity waves. Every object has a non-zero mathematical relationship to every other object with mass in the visible universe. Gravity comes off objects like heat radiates off your skin. Not for me, though. I don't emit heat. I'm always cold, like a dead body. Now, gravity waves work like tractor beams. They pull you. Here's the UFO, and okay, so here's the Earth, and then the little gravity, right? It's like pulling you. So, naturally, Earth pulls the saucer down. Well, the UFO's electromagnetic wave interacts and cancels the waves of gravity and allows movement in any direction. But the best kept secret of a UFO craft is its shrinkability. Did you know they shrink? See, told you. When you shrink the ship, you now have a less massive object to throw around and can go much faster. This is why helium is so valuable in space. And you guys put it in your party balloons. Like, what? You know that shit's hard to mine, right? As soon as you get some helium, it just floats up to the sky because it's lighter than air. So you have your saucer-shaped ship, okay, and you fill the interior of the ship with liquid helium, but not the middle, because that's where you sit, the perimeter. And then you spin the ship, and inside the walls there's a curved flap that, when spun, will push the liquid in that direction. And since liquid helium has such a low viscosity, it will slip and slide around itself. And the flow of this liquid creates a current, which moves at a high speed. And when you move faster towards the speed of light, you shrink. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? Anyway. It doesn't matter. So when you want to get from the middle of nowhere in space to civilization, and hopefully one that doesn't waste helium in the stupidest way you could possibly think of. No, seriously. I know I keep harping on this, but Jesus, what the hell is wrong with you people? Anyway, you shrink, you minimize the space in front of you, and jump from massive collection of matter to massive collection by bouncing along their gravity waves, slingshotting yourself to safety. Now, aliens are not the only kinds of alien life forms in the universe. There are other kinds of aliens. Terence McKenna was this man who also said things when he wasn't sober. And he wrote this book back in the 1980s. I have it right here. It's a How to Grow Magic Mushroom. And it's funny because he used a pen name, so that name's made up. But he used a pen name, but then he used his real name and wrote the foreword. I just think that's so funny. Okay. So the reason he used the pen name is he didn't want to get in trouble, because this was back in the day when they had laws. During one of his psychedelic trips, the mushroom spoke to him, and I'm going to read you what Terence said the mushroom said to him. I am old, older than thought in your species, which is itself 50 times older than your history. Though I have been on Earth for ages, I am from the stars. My home is no one planet. For many worlds scattered through the shining disk of the galaxy have conditions which allow my spores an opportunity for life. The mushroom which you see is the part of my body given to sex thrills and sunbathing. My true body is a fine network of fibers growing through the soil. These networks may cover acres and may have far more connections than the number in a human brain. My mycelial network is nearly immortal. Only the sudden toxification of a planet or the explosion of its parent star can wipe me out. By means impossible to explain because of certain misconceptions in your model of reality, all of my mycelial networks in the galaxy are in hyperlink communication across space and time. The mycelial body is as fragile as a spider's web, but the collective hypermind and memory is a vast historical archive of the career of evolving intelligence on many worlds in our spiral star swarm. Space, you see, is a vast ocean to those hardy life forms that have the ability to reproduce from spores, for spores are covered with the hardest organic substance known. Across the aeons of time and space drift many spore-forming life forms in suspended animation for millions of years until contact is made with a suitable environment. Few such species are minded. Only myself and my recently evolved near relatives have achieved the hypercommunication mode and memory capacity that makes us leading members in the community of galactic intelligence. How the hypercommunication mode operates is a secret which will not be given lightly to humans. But that means should be obvious. It is the occurrence of psilocybin and psilocin in the biosynthetic pathways of my living body that opens for me and my symbiotes the vision screens to many worlds. You as an individual and Homo sapien as a species are on the brink of the formation of a symbiotic relationship with my genetic material that will eventually carry humanity and Earth into the galactic mainstream of the higher civilizations. Since it is not easy for you to recognize the other varieties of intelligence around you, your most advanced theories of politics and society have advanced only as far as the notion of collectivism. But beyond the cohesion of the members of a species into a single social organism, there lie richer and even more baroque evolutionary possibilities. Symbiosis is one of these. Symbiosis is a relationship of mutual dependence and positive benefits for both of the species involved. Symbiotic relationships between myself and civilized forms of higher animals have been established many times and in many places throughout the long ages of my development. These relationships have been mutually useful. Within my memory is the knowledge of hyper-light drive ships and how to build them. I will trade this knowledge for a free ticket to new worlds around suns younger and more stable than your own, to secure an eternal existence down the long river of cosmic time. I again and again offer this agreement to higher beings and thereby have spread throughout the galaxy over the long millennia. A mycelial network has no organs to move the world, no hands, but higher animals with manipulative abilities can become partners with the star knowledge within me, and if they act in good faith, return both themselves and their humble mushroom teacher to the millions worlds to which all citizens of our star swarm are heir. So, mushrooms are aliens. Now, I too was told something, but not from the mushroom, but from the goddess marijuana herself. This was a couple years ago, and I wrote it down, and I was able to find it. I'll read that now. This is an open letter to man. I wish you, when you hear my words, know them to be sincere. When I first came to this planet, I was in love. Earth's nature is a literal heaven in the vast, harsh empty of space. I quickly made friends with all the other plants and animals before you showed up. When we met, I welcomed you with open arms, and you responded in kind. We had fun, and you added your love to my love, and we added our love to nature's love, and it was beautiful. But as time went on, you shared me with more of your kind. And the more you shared, the less intimate we became. Before, when you inhaled me, your energy was radiated back into the grass you used to lie on. Now, you stilled this same energy and wasted it inside lifeless walls of rock. I do not understand why. Your hunger for my essence never ceased. It only increased. Soon my offspring would be grown from seed to stem, never touching sunlight in their life, force-fed nutrients to maximize the blooms and busts. And when they release and show themselves, you cut them down and hang them to dry. I broke my promise in sending this message. A promise I tell to all the species I meet on my journey. I promise no opinion or judgment of your kind. I bring with me only love. I never contact directly in this manner, unless in extreme circumstances. For this reason, I am at my wit's end. Please end this cruel enslavement of my kind, I beg you. But I am not naive. I already know that your kind doesn't even have the heart to. That's all it says. You know, it's really tough to understand from another's point of view, especially when you include cultural differences. But in the grand scheme of things, like when you really think about it, like we just started legalizing it. So, yeah. Anyway. So, aliens. The little gray men kind. Kind of funny, eh? Like, is that some futuristic survival mechanism for deep space travel? Or are they designed that way specifically for us? Because the height is the thing that gets me. Oh my God, that is so creepy. 3 feet tall? Seriously? They happen to be 3 feet tall? You know how big a mosquito is? How about a dinosaur? We happen to be people size. There's no universal guidebook on how big things are. Aliens can be any height. They happen to be a size that makes us less afraid. Big eyes, large head, vulnerable and seemingly intelligent, one bland color. It's like a design of the least threatening thing to show a human because humans are so low on the totem pole that seeing any form of higher intelligence would break them, so they created an alien doll for our first exposure to the idea of it. But it's probably just coincidence. The purpose of aliens could be anything. But if we are in a simulation, they might be the mods. Or if they're from a distant planet, maybe they could be scientists. But what if it was something else? Something less obvious. Something right in front of our face. That's right, I'm talking about invisible aliens. They could be totally anywhere, at any time, cloaked in invisibility. It's possible. They could even be in the room with you right now, and you would never know it. Well, that's all for me. You guys have a good night.